Hey, welcome to another edition of JTJU, where we all try to be just a little better at the game of Clash of Clans. I got a Cliff Notes version for you, trying to summarize a post I did just yesterday. It was a little long in the tooth, 30 minutes. It was looking at the Clash Heads Red Line War, the Town Hall 9 attacks that 3-starred using the KHC2 Tri-LavaLoonian style. So I figured I would share my notes that actually drove that discussion and see if I could get it a little quicker. It ended up being about 9-10 minutes, so I guess it was somewhat of a win. In addition, the plus sign, the dot up at the top, I'll try to give cards to each of the attacks. So if you wanted to click to a specific attack of the 5, you can, and it'll zoom, hopefully. I don't know if I can do this or not. I'll try. It'll zoom actually into that point of the discussion in the detailed video so you can see the attack itself. But anyway, that said, here's my discussion of the actual notes I took while I was looking at the attacks, and maybe that'll let you get a sense of it in a more quick fashion. Okay, so here is the Cliff Notes version of the Town Hall 9 attacks done by Clash Heads in the Red Line. For those that didn't want to sit through the 30-minute in-depth analysis of each attack, this kind of just summarizes it for you visually. I'll walk you through it. You can ignore the first two columns. I'll get a later video on those. Those were the nukes that came down from Town Hall 9 that were KHC2 Tri-LavaLoonian in type. So we'll do both nukes together. So there's two others that are hog related. So ignore those two. But the first column that's related to Town Hall 9 specifically, hitting Town Hall 9, is this number 3. You can see the same checks going down. Notice a couple themes. Like I mentioned in the videos, all the KHC2 Tri-LavaLoons ended up getting both the queen and 2 ADs from the KHC2 team coming in. So I think that's a key criteria. When you look at bases, you got to be able to identify that your team can get in, however you approach it. You got either wall breaker, then jump, then you're in. It depends on the base, but you got to be able to get 2 ADs plus the queen. Otherwise, the KHC2 Tri-LavaLoon may not be the right style, or at least it won't get you the 3-star. A lot of the bases were maxed ADs, so I don't think that's a key concern. The grounded expos we never had to go to, but that could allow you out. Most of them were enabled because we didn't have the doubling, which is where the ADs are basically in support of one another, more than just one is shooting the hound that's on it. But yeah, so that's the biggest check came out was at 2 ADs. Now, past that, looking at the third one, as you go down, you'll see they all did a good job of the Golem Whiz cutters, basically creating the funnel to get the KHC2 team moving in towards the AD. The big thing you got to watch for there is making sure there's not outside distractions for the KHC2 team that would cause one or more of the golems to shift off. Another thing that you'll see is that you want to make sure that there's a good spread of your wizards, a little bit outside of the golem positioning when the golems are kind of posted up on two corners and there's a space between for the wall breakers. So that's what Gall Wiz is really all about. This KHC2 dive, that's measuring whether or not in those attacks they were able to get all of their KHC team in, because that's critical with the KHC2 attack, that the 2 golems and the king and the queen all get into the mid and do their business. If one of them doesn't make it, odds are you're not going to get to the criteria that we talked about above, which is the 2 ADs plus the queen. This is just commenting on how the queen was taken out. Sometimes it rained, sometimes in melee. The 81 going down. This is interesting. The golem here on the 5th attack actually took it out, not the queen, by blowing up. So that was kind of funny. Moving down another line, you can see that the typical way the CC is handled, mostly it's light. 1, 2, 3. I guess if we count the nukes 5, but 3 out of the 5 for the Town Hall 9 specific ones. One time it was heal. That was when there was a dragon in the CC. And I don't think you would know that going in. So I think default, if you don't know what's in the CC, a light is probably the right option. If you do know the dragon's in there, the heal's good because the dragon's an AoE type attack. You've got very high health units, king, queen, 2 golems. A heal on them versus the dragon's like no big deal. Slow you down a little bit, might have a timing issue long term in the overall attack getting done, but heal is the right call. Rage was used when the wall was a little smaller. They wall breakered in for the first set, and then they were on the second, and they raged there. I'm still on the fence on that one, whether it was good or bad. That's why it's circled. But you can try it. If it enables you to get through one set of walls and take down a lot of high health buildings that are in the area, maybe. Here you see the AD2 commentary about how that was taken out. Queen at range, golems took it out. Queen at range, queen at range, queen at range. So in all cases, the queen was the one taking out the second AD. Now here's where it actually gets a little bit more interesting. Um, I actually analyzed the three main groups of LavaLoons that came out. Lava 1A, Lava 1B. The reason why they're 1A and 1B is that those two hounds and their associated loons targeted the first AD that was either to the right or the left of the KHC attacking team, which would take out two ADs, right? And then the LavaLoon 2 down here was attacking the second and final remaining AD. I mean, the first two were taken out, so it'd be the third and fourth, I guess, would be a better way of saying it. But anyway, so the first hound and associated loons. Notice here, this is telling you how many loons were behind it, this first line. So typically you're seeing 6, 5, 6, 4, 2. That was kind of an anomaly, but usually you're seeing somewhere between 6 and 5 loons backing the first loon deploy, and they're being broken up into, these are the groups here: 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. So very much of a spot deployment, usually at least 3 groups, if not 4 or 5, breaking up 6 loons. So don't overdo the loons, and don't overdo the spot deploys, but you can kind of see a lot of people try to do a line deploy, which isn't going to work a lot of times. The other big thing to notice is this angle and distract that I kind of comment on. The angle consistently for all the attacks for the first hound that came in was very wide. And the angle is defined as if you looked at the AD and drew a straight line out to the edge, to the closest edge, that's 0. And then if you move out from that, if you're coming basically from 90 degrees from that, that's 90 degrees. So in a lot of cases, we were close to 90, 90, 85, 50, 85, 90. So very big angle, which allows the loon to move through a bunch of the high, that's the second number, distract buildings. So it's pathing through a large chunk of anti-air buildings. So in this case 3, this case 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. Sounds kind of low, but you want to get 2 to 3 buildings that first hound is going through, so they're all focused on it. Then you're going to drop those groups of loons that are talked up about above. And notice the timing too. So the time between when the hound was dropped and the final loons were done for the backing of that hound, 4 seconds was about the average. 4, 6, 3, 2. So around 4 seconds, about time. 6 is probably a little long, 4 is about right. And the spread, this is measuring for the deployments as they moved in. Did they stay in distinct lines of attack, so were they on their own runs, as we would say, or did they end up grouping very quickly? And then you can see most attacks, the line stayed clear. So it's why up here you'll see right here, this last check on the top, distinct paths to Expo. That is actually talking about that we have clean runs for the loons to go off of for the hounds. And then the Expo distract, I'm just confirming here that did we launch this hound attack soon enough so that while the queen and the golems were still doing their job, were they absorbing damage away from, distracting in effect, damage on the hound specifically so that it would last longer? And you see here 2 of the attacks did that. 1, the Expo was already down, so it didn't matter. And then this one, I'm not sure what happened. I didn't mark it up. Now, as soon as your first hound group goes down, you'll actually deploy a second hound on that same AD, the third AD. And that group typically is a very small loon back team. So notice here, you got in total 2 here, 2, 2, 4, 4. So maybe somewhere between 2 to 4 loons is all that you're deploying with that second hound. And it's coming in very directly at the AD. It's kind of establishing the other side, because the other hound's going to come in and handle the other part. So you get 2 hounds on the first one, get more of the deployment out. Other than that, you can see the same lines, good timing because it's so small, 1 to 2 seconds, and you're out. So really, within 6 to 10 seconds, your first AD is handled. Two groups of hounds have been deployed. First one with about 4 to 6 loons behind it, and then second with about 2 to 4. Then you usually see the rage coming out. So once the first team is on the AD, you'll see the rage being dropped. And the 2 things we were measuring in the attacks was how many buildings were being covered, in effect enabling a faster movement through by the loons, both in destroy and movement, and how many were on the exit, were enabled on the pathing outside of the range of the rage, because the rage lasts a little bit beyond the border. How many were you reaching? And you can see here we're typically at least getting 1 rage on the exit, so 1's coming out, getting beyond the rage of the circle, and we're getting somewhere between 2 to 4 in the rage circle. So when you're planning out where your rage spells are going to hit, make sure that you're hitting a clumped area, because what you're really trying to do with the LavaLoon attack is make sure the loons move quickly through buildings. And so if you're dropping a rage thinking you're trying to close distance, yes, but really the more important thing is getting through the buildings. The larger time suck is the loons just hanging out, chilling, dropping bombs every 3 seconds on one building as they try to whittle it down. So look for that larger numbers in the cover. Once that first group's out though, and the rage is down, then the second loon, or the third and last loon, better said, against the fourth and final AD, it's called LL2A here, is deployed, and you can see it's usually a little bigger than the second loon was, or the second hound was. 5-4, 7-6-4, so a little larger, more similar to the first. So it's almost like the edges of the attack have more of the loons that are coming in, and they have more of the groups. So see here, unlike the first, which is one or two groups, we've got two here, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 2. So it's averaging somewhere between around three groupings. And they're, again, the pathing is very distinct. They stay clean. They don't bunch up. Timing similar, about 4 seconds. The angle is somewhat off of direct. I mean, sometimes it was direct, sometimes it was up as large as 45 degrees. So it varied. But the key of it was the distract that you were getting. Notice 3, 3, 6. Look at that. Six anti-air units were focused on that hound. What value was that? And notice how out of that 6, notice the big deployment that happened. Because those 6 were distracted, 4 of them were under direct line attack from loons once the hound went in. Right? So you're looking at, again, where your pathing goes through, how many buildings get distracted. That drives kind of your angle, but you're going to find the third hound is going to usually have an angle somewhere between 0 and 45. And you're going to then drop the associated loons per building. And again, the cover X is the same. You're looking for cover on the final hound's rage. 2 to 3, maybe a little less than the other one, but not bad. You can see down below the mix. Usually we're seeing, and this is the loon line, so somewhere between 15 and 16. 16 seems to be the more popular number. Wizards were at least 3. One was 2. I thought that was a little light. Sometimes 4. So at least 3 probably is the average. And then your wall breakers consistently were 3. That's to get through that first wall, get your dive, which is into the first channel, and then you're going to do your jump usually from there. Most of the time they had, for the excess, the things that didn't fit into an even 5, they had, either archers or minions. Goblins actually were pretty good, because think about the loon attack leaving out all those outside buildings, which are usually resource buildings, so using your excess for goblins is actually not a bad idea. And also, the final thing is the queen levels. So it's 30 30 30 30, 20 20s 20s 30s, 26 30, 21 20. So you may be asking too much of yourself if you're going out against a pretty strong base. Granted, these are close to max bases in most cases, I think. I'd have to go back and look again. I don't remember. I didn't write that down. But if you're not seeing an entry-level Town Hall 9, don't think that this is because you have this that you can romp this attack in. All of it was max hounds, so level 2 hounds. The king and queen were pretty well leveled. So if you're going to go up against a max base and try to take it, or a mid-level base, you're going to need reasonably leveled king and queen, because they've got to survive, right? So you need that health on the king and queen to make it through. Max golems as well are required. So that'll about do it. That's the Cliff Note version of the 30-minute video played. If you want to click on the cards at the top, the little white ball, I'll try to provide links to each distinct, like links to where in the video each of the attacks is. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each of the 5, I'll put those in. All right, guys. Talk to you later.